Shall we start?
Yeah, I'm good. You can start.
Okay. A very good afternoon, everyone. I hope you all are keeping safe and being healthy. I am Bhavna Jain, Assistant Professor at Jagran School of Visual Arts and Design, and I welcome you to Masterclass of Design Thinking by a celebrated designer and design thinker, Mr. Abhishek Prasad, who will be sharing with us his priceless journey and focusing on the relevance of design thinking as a universal method practiced in the industry. So, this is the brought to you by Faculty of Journalism and Creative Study. So, let me introduce you to our school first. Our school prioritizes the pursuit of bold vision and influencing and impacting how the world connects today and tomorrow. Faculty of Journalism and Creative Study is a uniquely interdisciplinary hub that blends a variety of fields, experiential learning, and innovation and technology. Combining state of the art Sri Gurudev Gupta Media Production and Design Studio with creative inspiration, we are pursuing the boundaries of creative exploration and empowering our students to become the creative leaders of tomorrow. Proceeding toward the theme of the session, let me give you a short brief about the session, which is all about the design thinking. So, design thinking is a blend of logic, powerful imagination, and systematic reasoning. It is intuition to bring to the table the ideas that promise to the solve the problem of the clients with a desirable outcome. It helps to bring creativity with business insights and also help to solve wicked and complex problem of the world. So before we start, let me introduce you to the speaker of the session, who is Abhishek Prasad. Abhishek is a seasoned professional with an extensive experience of delivering design thinking workshops and design sprints to various cross-functional teams in India, US, and rest of the world. He had worked as a lead UX designer at IBM, L&T Infotech, and ADP. He is currently working as UX manager at ADP. So, we are proud to have him here in the workshop. He will be covering below topic in 2 hours of masterclass, which you will be attending. So, we will all have the design thinking process about design thinking and UX design. And he will also cover the design thinking where all we can apply it to solve wicked problem of the world. So Abhishek, over to you from here. Thank you.
Thanks, Bhavna. And it was a great pleasure to see you all. I really thanks to your university, Jagran Lake City University, and the folks who have trusted that I'll be the right person to talk about this particular topic today. And first of all, I would really congratulate to all the participants who actually showed up the interest here, because this particular learning that we are going to do today is not only very specific to the some areas of your life, but it is almost like everywhere you can utilize this. And you can definitely see a lot of difference, since design thinking is a proven human-centered approach to creating a breakthrough innovations adopted extensively in the various areas by companies globally. And you can trust that design thinking focus on the problems of users, their needs, their desires, and their behaviors, and to help the design researchers and the organization to decode the future needs and to come up with the appropriate solution that may solve the plethora of problems holistically. And today we are going to see many of the examples that are there really working out in the industry in the world, and those are actually the outcomes or the solutions been taken out from the design thinking. Let me share my screen. Let me know once you can see my screen. Is it visible?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great.
Yes.
Great. And today we are going to cover. My introduction has already been with you. I'm into the design industry from last 21 years, and I have been to multiple organization where from a startup to the big organization like IBM, where at a time 500,000 means 5.5 lakh employees are working together and to making a big difference in the world where the IBM is leading into many domains. And I have worked very closely with the services as well as the product. And there are many lot of inspirational things in the IBM. I have touched upon some of them. I work on the user experience stream, and I touch upon many innovation side. I do submit many of the patents. I have around 3 to 4 patents with me, and many of them are in a way. I do innovate things to solve the bigger problem, the complex problem. Today, when I'm working with an organization called ADP, where we have enterprise solutions and products, where we provide a payroll kind of a products, human capital management, and there are we have seen a lot of complex, and so I'll bring some experiences from there. But today, in this particular 2 hours of a sessions, we are going to cover some of the topics, and here is my agenda. So more or less you will come to know what is design thinking, how it functions, what it covers, what is the world looking like after the world after the design thinking. And this brings up a lot of clarity when you see some of the solutions in front of you, maybe in your day-to life, maybe in a hospital, maybe in your college, or maybe when you are going to a movie theater, right? So all this is happening where inside a room where the sprints are happening with the design thinking, where the key brains are working towards the getting the right kind of a design for the right kind of a user, right? So design thinking, what is design thinking, why do we need a design thinking, uh, how does a design thinking process look alike, right? And design thinking versus UX design. What is UX design? What is design thinking? Is it these two ships where somewhere you have to sail, or is it the one thing where you might have to change your hat and say today I am a sprint master for this design thinking, right? So I'll give that clarity to you. Where does design thinking can be applied? And it is not a one two three four places, it is like everywhere you can apply design thinking, and today we are going to see those. And at last, I'll cover some of the key takeaways of the design thinking. And let me know, I'll take a pause in between in case anybody has a question. And that time will take some questions to understand, and I'll give you some of the examples if required at that particular point, right? To begin with, I wanted to share one video with you, which is very interesting video. And there is a company called IDEO, and this company has started this particular process where the Tim Brown and some other designers actually started with some of the folks who are not designers. They are coming from a different. So listen this particular video and see how the design thinking functions and started. And from there onwards, it has been elaborated, expanded, and get into the extensive level of design thinking. And we'll see some of the latest videos also, but this will be a very insightful. We went to IDEO, the product design folk, and said, take something old and familiar, like, say, the shopping cart, and completely redesign it for us in just 5 days. ABC News correspondent Jack Smith tells us what happened next. 9 in the morning, day one, and these
people have a deadline to meet.
So welcome to the kickoff of the shopping cart project.
This is Palo Alto, California, in the heart of Silicon Valley. And these are designers at IDEO, probably the most influential product development firm in the world. Safety emerges early as an important issue.
22,000 child injuries a year, which is, and so they're hospitalized injuries. I mean, there are many others.
And theft. It turns out a lot of carts are stolen. As the team works, it becomes clear there are no titles here, no permanent assignments.
The other side says, it gives us a lot of help, says, be safe. I'll give you a big red ball on a post, and that says you're a big guy. If you got a ball, you're a senior vice president. You know, what do I care? The desk, red ball, it's all the same. It's not possible.
The team splits into groups to find out firsthand what the people who use, make, and repair shopping carts really think.
Okay, go.
The problem with the plastic cart is the wind catches it. Yeah. And these things have been clocked at 35 across the parking lot.
Oh, man, that's actually a pretty good point.
3:30 in the afternoon, and the group is back at IDEO. There is no let-up.
Each team is going to demonstrate and communicate and share everything that they've learned today.
A shopping cart has been clocked at 35 miles an hour traveling through a parking lot in the wind.
We were in the store, 2 hours, and it was truly frightening just to see the kind of stuff going on.
You got to designate some people to make damn sure that the store owner's point of view is represented.
After 9 straight hours, the team is tired. They call it a day.
So,
Everybody cool?
well, that's great. Thanks a lot. We had a great time today.
IDEO's mantra for innovation is written everywhere. One conversation at a time. Stay focused. Encourage wild ideas. Defer judgment. Build on the ideas of others. The ideas pour out and are posted on the walls.
Oh, the blind, the privacy blind. Like when you're buying 6 cases of condoms, no one sees. If it doesn't nest, we don't have a solution.
Organized chaos. It's not organized. What it is it's focused chaos.
Vote with your post-it, not with an idea that's cool, but with an idea that's cool and buildable. If it's too far out there and it can't be built in a day, then I don't think we should vote on it. Enlightened trial and error succeeds over the planning of lone genius.
Enlightened trial and error succeeds over the planning of the lone genius. If anything sums up IDEO's approach, that is it.
If you don't work under time constraints, you could never get anything done because it's a messy process and go on forever.
Back at the shop, it is 6 o'clock. The 4 mock-ups are ready for showing.
Baskets also can be, if you think you will have more volume, baskets can be put in.
A modular shopping cart you pile hand baskets onto. A high-tech cart that gets you through the traffic jam at checkout.
That you could mount a scanner on the shopping cart so that you as the customer, as you pull it off the shelf, would scan each item.
One that's built around child safety, and another that lets shoppers talk to the supermarket staff remotely.
Yeah, where can I find a yogurt?
But the adults, again, decide more work needs to be done before the mock-ups can be combined into one last prototype.
There it is!
So we took the best elements out of each prototype.
The cart, which is designed to cost about the same as today's carts, is different in every other way.
What do you think?
Well, I'm very proud of the team. I think it's great.
Does this work for you?
Works for me great. It's also beautiful.
The cart's wheels turn 90 degrees so it can move sideways. No more lifting up the rear in a tight spot. And you shop in a totally different way. The bags are hung on hooks on the cart's frame. Remember, there is no basket here.
At first, I was a little shocked, but I think you have some fantastic ideas here. It needs a little refining, but I think that it's great. I mean, we would.
So this was one of the study very early in the IDEO. They started doing this and they got a lot of success when they designed this card. And, this is what been used in the design thinking. Now we'll come to the design thinking. And the very first question is, what is design thinking? Means how a person using a design thinking can do such an amazing job. What a powerful tool it is, right? So design thinking, what kind of a question generally come into your mind? Is it a kind of a magic? It is kind of a direct solution, like if you enter something and you get something? No, it is a mindset, a process, a set of processes that you are going to do. And design thinking is nothing but a tool which helps you to get the right information at the right place, understand the problem, decode the problem, and get the base or the core of the problem, and then bring the solution. So that is what you generally see when you do any kind of a design thinking, right? So in design thinking, there are many processes, and many of the companies, in fact, many of the bigger companies, they have their own set of a design thinking. So one of the CEO, Tim Brown, he's again from the IDEO, says that design thinking is a human-centered approach to the innovation that draws from the designer's toolkit to integrate the needs of people, the possibilities of technology, and the requirement for the business success. And this is his belief because he is working. He is the one who has innovated so many things. He was the one who innovated the first mouse for Apple computers, right? And IDEO is the organization who has done a lot of innovations based on the design thinking practices and the sprints. They have run those things, understand the users, and will see what all elements are there within the design thinking, how design thinking functions. But another guy, who is this? Steve Jobs, who was the another person who believed that design thinking is a powerful tool. And he always says design is not just what it looks like and feels like. Design it is what it works, right? So if you have used any Apple products, you can see the rigidness, the stability, the design, the comfort, the elegance, right? The efficiency, all those things, how from where it is coming. Those are coming from well thought design exercises. And that was one of the kind of a design thinking exercise where you generally see these kind of outcomes coming through. Design thinking actually is taught in many other definition, but this is one of the definition I always portray to my class, to my student, to my lectures. Like design thinking is nothing but a thought process that is used to solve problems by empathizing with the users, and it is an iterative and collaborative process. Very important to note here is it is an iterative and collaborative process which keeps the users at the center of the solution. And if you can recollect the video that I just showed you, where the all the people who were getting the doing the empathy with the users first, getting into the mall and understanding what kind of a card they are using, they understood, they sketched something, they designed, they made a prototype. That particular process is an iterative process where they are doing again and again, again and again before they come to the final design. So that is the iterative and collaborative process which can bring or keeps the users at the center of the solution. So that is keeping in mind that user is the who is the user, and for whom we are designing this or defining this, right? So that is one of the very key thing into that. But very importantly, in designing, empathizing is very, very, very important. To solve any kind of a problem, first you have to listen to the user. Unless until you do not listen, you will make your assumptions, and based on assumption we cannot make a good products. So very, very insightfully it is brought up here in this definition that it is iterative and collaborative process. You, a single person, cannot do this. It is a collaborative process where you have to include all the stakeholders or all the related people who are associated for that kind of a activity or that kind of a project, so that you can work with these people in one room and do this exercise. Actually, this is a very interesting exercise, design thinking, which happens within a small room where many of the folks, not more, but I have conducted a workshop with 300 people, right? Design thinking is generally happen maximally. We have seen that it is 15 to 20 people, but I have conducted for 300 people. I have also conducted with NASCOM for 150 people, where we have get some quick ideas in 2 hours, right? And we have taken several such topics which everyone can relate very easily. But what design thinking is, it is a user centric. User is the center of attraction and center of the point of all the studies. It is a collaborative problem solving, means you are not alone doing the solving of the problem, but your colleagues, your not colleagues actually it is your project manager, product owner, then delivery manager, then even the marketing or the sales guy who are continuously listening to the clients, to the customers. They are also there. In other side of the service industries, there are project managers, there are business analysts, right? In hospitals, if it is happening in the hospital, there are doctors, there are supervisors, there are nurses, there are many other such people who are responsible for handling the situations. Schools, teachers, principals, headmasters, special teachers, those who are teaching special skills, are actually called within a room to do the design thinking process. And this particular exercise also bring the solution in a very small span of a time, right? So it is used to solve the kind of a problem, and it could be product or it could be service. It is a iterative, means you are doing again and again. Maybe it is not coming in the one round, you have to do it again. The design thinking process you have to repeat, so that you are making your solution much better, right? And you have to narrow down to the problems at a certain point, but you have to do the divergence. There is a concept called divergence and convergence, right? In a design thinking, what happens, like in general, let's say you have a problem in hand, okay, that my phone is not working today. The problem could be it is not charged, but you have to go into the depth to understand why my phone is not working. You plug the charger, it is charging, but my phone is not working. You have to check by doing a soft start, hard start, and all those things, and then you figure out that there is a very critical problem in my phone, and that is why it is not starting. If it could be a just a power means a battery drain, it could have worked as soon you plug in the charger. And that is the way you generally get into the problems and come out of the problem by digging and digging. Similar kind of a activities happens in the design thinking, where you try to understand what is the problem. You break down the problem into very small chunks to understand what is the core reason of the problem, and then slowly you merge into bringing the ideas how we can solve this problem, how user will be facing if they are getting into these problem, right? So slowly you are doing some activities, and there are certain activities within the design thinking which is very standard, and many a company give it in their organization. These activities we are following within our design thinking practices, and we'll see some of them, right? And this actually solves the wicked problem and complex problem. It is not for the simple problems. Design thinking is basically for the wicked and complex problems. Now, user experience design. Okay, now user experience designs comes hand in hand. Whatever you are designing for making the user experience better is user experience design, which has a very correlation with the design thinking. Design thinking is a part of user experience design. Let's say you are designing something, some mobile application for your for the audiences, right? Let's say you are in a company which generally sells healthcare programs, okay, and you have to design some mobile application. So you have to design in such a way that user can quickly understand, okay, this is of my use, or I'm very good with this particular app, or this particular app is very intuitive. It is giving me very good solutions or very good suggestions, right? So those kind of a things, when you are designing or defining, you are basically doing the user experience design, right? That is very looks very intuitive, but where these solutions are coming from? Solutions are coming from those exercises which you have done within the design thinking sprints. And design thinking sprints happens in a small pockets. Let's say it could happen in a in one day exercise where everyone, all 4 5 6 people are gathering in one place in one room and doing certain exercises where they are digging the problem, coming up with some ideas, and then converging onto one particular big idea where they say, okay, we all agree. They vote, they discriminate, they bring up the solution upfront, they agree to one particular solution, and then they say, okay, looking at these many problems and these many ideas, this particular idea sounds better, and this could be the one of the feature of the experience that we are giving in our application, right? So design thinking is just a small exercises in user experience design. Okay, it is a plugin kind of a thing. Whenever you have any kind of a challenging problem in your in your service, in your tool, in your product, you are going to the design thinking process. There you sit, brainstorm, and come out with some solutions, right? So that is what you are doing here. It's a collaborative. It has to enhance the satisfaction with the users. Also, it will improve the usability, accessibility, and desirability. Now, these three things, which is the pillars of any kind of a product: the usability, accessibility, and desirability. What is desirability? I hope you understand. Accessibility is something where you make sure that the disabled people or the people who have a visionary problem or a partial visionary problem can also access the devices or the tools, right? So many of the folks generally use their devices who are partially or completely blind. They read the application. Many of the all such people, they have a facility there where they can read the application or they can read the apps. Okay, so these are the come under accessibility. Desirability, you are looking for a cycle which can be very good for mountain riding, and you find that by the features which makes it desirable for the particular requirement, right? And it brings a lot of things into making that kind of a product to be desirable, which again coming from the design thinking. Okay, so if you have to improve the usability, accessibility, and desirability of the product, your design thinking sessions are very, very, very impactful when you have to touch upon these areas. And iteration is I already talk about, but the main question is why design thinking? Why we cannot design without design thinking? Okay, so let's hear out why it is important, why design thinking is important, the mindset for collaborative problem solving and innovation, right? Now, what is design thinking? I'll just touch upon it. Is a tool, but basically it is a mindset. It is nothing but a mindset of a collaborative problem solving in and innovations, right? So here you generally read the mental models of users. And what is mental model? I'll touch upon. Okay, it will it will help you empathize with your customer users to identify the real problems. Okay, what are the real problem? You can see when you go to certain services, or if you are using certain services, you will feel that something is missing which should be there. It would be saving my time, it would be good if it is there. Those kind of things are the pain areas, the problematic areas which can be rectified. And if it can be taken through this particular tool, where we have a mindset of understanding that how users want such kind of a service or a product, so you can solve that. And it also helps to become a problem solver, right? So design thinking is also called as a problem solvers. It teaches you the team spirit and collaboration. The main important pillar of this particular exercise is the collaboration, right? Without a collaboration, you cannot make out the solutions. It engages the stakeholders of various projects effectively and make your solution better with the key stakeholders and the brains or the mental model those are involved into this activities. It can fail fast, but you can learn fast and provide innovative solutions, since it is not costing you to discuss without before developing it, before starting your development, before starting your production. It is a time where you can fail fast and even you can learn fast, right? So this is why it is called helpful, helps you to achieve the success and become a critical source for your team and organization. Now, there are certain principles for conducting or having a design thinking in practice. Very first and foremost and important thing is empathy for users. What is empathy? Let me tell you. I hope many of you understand what is empathy. When a person interacts with you, when you listen to them, when you listen to your customer, when you listen to your user, and understand what kind of a challenges, what kind of a motivation, what kind of a pain point, what kind of a needs, what kind of a desirability this user has, you when you understand that, that is a called empathy. When you visit any kind of a doctor, right, first of all doctor asks you some of the questions. Okay, where do you work, how is your lifestyle, how much time do you spend in front of your computer, how many times do you take a break, how many times you drink water, and all those such questions in general he will ask. Then he'll come to the point from from when do you get these symptoms, what is the main problem, where do you get the main pain, right? All those sort of question is just to do the empathy with user, and then you will understand, okay, this is the problem, okay, this is the way that we can treat it, right? Similarly, when you go to school, in a school or in a colleges or in a business schools, generally it happens like, if you have to solve a problem, first you have to understand the problem. And how do you understand the problem? When somebody is speaking, when somebody is telling that these are the areas which has these many problems, these pain point, these are the my expectation, so you hear them, that is empathy, right? So very first in the design thinking has to be done the empathy, understand the problem, listen the feedbacks, what is being called out by users, and then you move on to the business success. Whenever you are doing a design thinking, there are some goals. What is the goals? User goals and business goals, and that make your business successful, right? Let's say if you are using a Paytm. What is Paytm? Paytm is something which transfer the money from one account to another one. It is not mandate that you have to have an account number, but you can also have your mobile number or UPI ID or many other ways, or you can just show a QR code to transfer the money to that. There is a goal. The business goal is you have to make a lot of transactions happen within a given period of a time, within a fractions of a time you have to convert those, and that brings the satisfaction to the users. The users, that was the business goal. The users goal was quickly, without any effort, without much of the clicks, I can make the transfer of the payment. That is the user goal, and that makes your business successful, because where we are meeting uh, business goals as well as the users goals, which makes the business successful, right? So that was one of the example. Now the possibility and constraint that comes at the very last, but design thinking never consider any kind of a possibility and constraint, though it is a time where you can explore the things, where you can do a lot of study, lot of brainstorming. When you say, why don't we introduce this to cater many kind of problems to be solved, like right now we have voice based search, right? Many people do not type very quickly, but they can talk very quickly. So even while you are talking, system is absorbing your sentences and searching based on that. That is why you have Netflix, you have seen that it is been searched by voice. On your Fire Stick, Amazon Fire Stick, it works on the voice. Alexa works on your voice. Google, okay Google works on voice. Why it is so fast? Because it is desired that particular time where you cannot type that fast, but you can speak that fast, and system can absorb and give you the answers very fast. So see how the things are evolving in front of you, in around you, and you can see a lot of things are happening. Those all things are happening because of these practices, these design thinking practices, right? And we'll see some of them when I'm moving ahead. Now, why do we need a design thinking? We have seen this particular thing, couple of things. Many times we go with the solutions which are based on our facts and assumptions. That is fine. Our assumptions may be right, may be wrong, but in user experience design, there is another process called user testing. In user testing, we make sure that the assumptions we made at the time of solution that we were finding for any kind of a problem were made and well tested with the user. Then user says, okay, this is a problem and I think it will work for me. And sometimes says, oh, this is a crap, it doesn't work for me, it is not solving any, in fact this is making it very complex. You can go back and revert your designs, come back and ask your user, now is it working for you? They will say this is working, but not 80% of the time, only 20% of the time. You go back again. What is go back? It is an iterative process. Again and again you are doing a designing, coming back to the users, checking. Now the user says, okay, this looks very good, I think it is working for me most of the time. That is the time you can say I am successful in getting the right design to the user, right? So it is an iterative process happening within a cycle. It gives a better prospect to redefine the problem, right? And it promotes the solution-based approach. Now, I'll walk you through with one more video, which is coming from a very interesting way, where they found that this particular problem, which happens on the public area, where people are coming and going, but certain problem has been noticed. Just watch this and understand what is happening out here.
Frozen.
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay.
The screen is frozen.
Okay, let me play it again. And let me know if it is working. Is it working now?
It's still frozen. It's still frozen.
I'll just stop my sharing and reshare. Is it working now?
No, it isn't. It says you've started sharing the screen, but we can't see anything.
1 second.
You can play it from the YouTube or something. If it's there, then you can play through the tab. I think that would help.
Yeah, it is from the YouTube only. I'm not
Okay.
embedded. Yeah, it is not embedded.
Okay.
Let me try once more.
No, it's not working.
Not working?
No, I'm sorry.
Okay, 1 second. 1 minute. I'm just switching my network.
You can share the link also. You can share the link. We can try from our end.
Just a minute. If I'll just switch my network and let me try once. Otherwise, I'll share the link in the chat. Was it working?
No. No, your screen was not shared.
Oh, okay. Is it visible? Is it working?
No.
No problem. I'll share the link here in the chat. Okay, and I'll go back to my actual presentation. We'll see that video after a couple of slides. Fine?
Fine.
Great. So here we have why do we need a design thinking? Okay, so we learned some of them, but there are certain components: business success, user needs, and possibility constraint. Some of the companies, like here we see, if you can read all of them and the lines below their name, it will tell you something.
Sir, excuse me. Sir, your presentation is also not shared. Like your screen, we are not able to see your screen.
One second, I'll just see. Let me know once it is visible.
No, we can't see it.
Is it? One second.
Now we can see Nupur ma'am's this thing.
Just let me know once you see my screen. I have reshared. Is it visible?
No, sir.
Okay, let me. One second. Let me know if you see my screen.
Yes, sir. It's visible now.
Okay, good. Wait. So if you see this particular screen and if you read these brands on the left hand side image, just read out. And if you read out aloud in at your place, you will see some correlation between each of them. Domino's पिज्जा, ये है रिश्तों का टाइम. टाटा स्काई, इसको लगा डाला तो लाइफ जिंगा लाला. Kingfisher, the king of good times. What it is telling? Coca-Cola, open happiness. MacBook, light years ahead. Those lines are nothing but experiences, right? Domino's, ये है रिश्तों का टाइम. What it is experience. मतलब एक ब्रांड के साथ में आपके साथ में एक और चीज मिल रहा है, एक्सपीरियंस. एवरीवेयर टाटा स्काई, इसको लगा डाला तो लाइफ जिंगा लाला. Why it is called out? That is not they are selling, right? But they are making sure that you are getting the best out of the experience from our side, and they are trying to make their brand so visible, so good that it impacts your life. MacBook, like it is so light, so powerful that it will take you the light years ahead, right? So it is creating a kind of a environment, the experience. They are all talking about the experience. They are not talking about what we are giving. They are giving you the experiences, right? So here design thinking is aimed at the user centered creative problem. This leads to the great user experience, and it's the good experience that retains and attract the users. So you don't buy the products, you buy the experiences. You like the product of you like the MacBook because the experience is so well, right? You don't like because it is just a piece of a hardware. You buy a particular thing from a brand because you like the experience. If you have like a particular car of Hyundai, for years and years you will definitely buy the same car from the Hyundai. If you have bought a phone from, let's say, from Samsung, it works for you like for 4 years. It was so worked well your experience was so good that every time you buy a new phone, you will consider the Samsung for that, right? Because what you have bought an experience. Experience is changing your decisions, and that is what we have seen here. Now we are coming back to design thinking across the design segments, how it is working into the different kind of a industry segments when we are looking out into the world. Okay, now we'll see where is this particular coming through or going through. Design thinking is happening everywhere, whether it is an enterprise company or solutions or products, consumers, BFSI, okay, telecommunications, travel and logistics, pharma, medical, very impactful in pharma and medical because that is the very low touch areas from so long, and the other areas were so well developed, but the pharma and medical were so low touched areas, and there were a lot of things has happened and a lot of innovations are happening today also. And you will see some of the example. I'll be sharing some of the images. Then the another one is the media and entertainment, which is the another very low touched area, been evolved so much. And you have seen that how entertainment and media is being boom right now, and how it is been taken uplifted, right? Then retail and FMCG, automobile is the another area where it was very low touch at the point of experience. Now if you see, Maruti also thought that Maruti showrooms are not that good. We should create some great experience to get a Nexa showrooms. Nexa, where you see a launches and you sit very nicely, and there are nice jacket or blazer guy comes to you and says, "Hello, sir. How can I help you? Do you like to have a tea or coffee?" Those kind of a experience that you are getting over there at the automobile industry, where they are asking, "Sir, can I get the car at your place to have a test ride?" They're talking so nicely, so politely, so like you that you want. Why these experiences are coming out from the certain exercises which is done within the organization. These are the industry segment where it is happening, and not a single industry is being left out where the design thinking is not being used. Even in government organization, municipality, right? Even in the small non profitable organizations, even the societies are doing these exercises, right? Design thinking. Why? Because it is a powerful tool. It is the tool which helps your creativity to come out. It helps you to bring your solutions come out, right? And you can do that, right? So this is what highly required skills are required. No, not any highly skills required. You just have to be understand what is the environment, what is the your ecosystem, what is the ecosystem of the particular subject that you are doing for a solutioning. So there is a global demand for design thinking expertise, where a sprint master, generally the person who runs the design thinking exercises, one person who is called a sprint master, but they also need other folks in the design sprint of to conduct these exercises. And it requires the large as well as a small organization in every sector, and it is the enabler of innovations. Innovation is happening because they can break through some of the problems, some of the pain points, and come up with some innovative ideas, how to save the time, how to make that click free, or without any hassle they can achieve those kind of a things, right? That is happening out here, can be applied across industries for effective problem solving and creativity in thinking and everyday work, right? So these can be applied to the digital, physical products, services, process enhancements, better ways of doing existing things, and fostering innovations. Now, if I talk about the demand on the industry, or in the industry for design thinking or the design thinkers, is very high. because everybody wants some innovator, some kind of a person who can bring a innovation in the organization, whether it is a pharma company, whether it is a small school, whether it is a big institute, or it could be anything like a political party. They are also using design thinkers. Why? Because they have to crack down the users, the potential supporters, right? Where they do a lot of campaigning, and the campaigning is a outcome of the design thinking, like what kind of a media should go out, what kind of a campaigning should be run out, what kind of a experience should be created, right? This is what happening within a room and being communicated as an outcome, maybe a campaign, maybe a design, maybe a app, maybe a image, or maybe a icon, right? Those can be very very innovative. So where it is happening, so it is a rising demand. And if I just talk about sometimes back, where in 1995, where Apple struggled in the market due to the unstable market, unclear vision, and failed products. And there were so many failed products which Apple has launched initially. But once they figured out, once they did the empathy, they figured out that it is the problem with this particular area, where they understood the problems from the empathy from the users. And it was only the 1997 when Steve Jobs implemented design thinking into Apple and went on to create history. After that, you have seen a lot of great products came out. Even the designs of these kind of a product were so amazing that anybody, the novice user, can also use it, can easily relate what it is. If you see some of the icons, it is been picked up from the real environment, right? The calendar looks very natural, like a calendar what you have seen from your childhood. The icon of video player, or a image gallery, or any kind of a FaceTime, or any kind of a settings, it looks very very natural. So the mental model has not to be developed, it is already there. You can directly learn it from looking at it. So that is why we call this particular design so intuitive, because it was actually developed in such an atmosphere where design thinking has bring up a lot of clarity by understanding the problems and breaking down that problems into the small chunks and coming out of it. With design thinking, they learn to empathize with their users and identify the real problems. The user took the center stage
Hmm.
based on their inputs. Apple further built products that were user data driven instead of assumption based. Very clearly, they have mentioned it is not assumption based, whether rather it is a user data driven. How the user used the application, they made a data out of that, and based on that, they made the applications and the design. Even the company called Pepsi company has run out of the business at certain point, where specifically in 2009, 2009, Pepsi company faced tough competition by the launch of Coca-Cola, where the freestyle or digital fountain machine was introduced, right, by Coca-Cola. But Indra Nooyi, CEO, then brought in design thinking expert Muro Porcini in order to tackle the decrease in Pepsi company's sale, right? Together, they encourage the design thinking mindset across the organization and build a Pepsi co-Spire, right? They have made a different segment called Spire, and first digital touchscreen fountain machine were launched that lets you personalize your favorite Pepsi brand. So that helps you to do certain activity on the touch screen, and accordingly your Pepsi can be delivered to you. So like there were many other types of flavor were there, but there is a one disperse which will give you the liquid, right? The aerated water. It could be Mountain Dew, it could be Tropicana, or it could be Pepsi, or it could be other flavor. But There is a certain thing that you have to do on the touch screen, which involves a lot of attention, attraction, and engagement with the user. And users were very happy to use this kind of a kiosk machine. Another example of taking and understanding the piece is IBM. IBM has done a lot of uh, study in this field. And IBM has made a goal that every employee of the organization should be go through the design thinking workshops. Every employee of the organization, 5,50,000 and more than that people has gone under this particular design thinking. I've been one of the instructor while conducting these kind of activities. And I have conducted more than six such workshops within the organization to make sure that everybody is understood with this. And we do a lot of activities with the real time projects where do get into the problems and bring out the solution that made a lot of difference during the one of the IBM's project, like Monocall, a zero installation web application preview. The team curated their own design thinking framework, which is called the Loop, and integrated it into their traditional method, traditional methodology. This helped them derive the solution in the best possible way and have been implemented it since then. Now, not only this, they realized that the importance of design thinking mindset for every and each and every member of the organization, right? That's what it happened. And I've been there. I know that it was really very impactful that everybody understand that this particular thing can make a difference. And that's why the company has spent a lot of effort, a lot of time, a lot of money to get this practiced with everyone, and now conduct enterprise wide design thinking workshops for their clients as well as their employees. Another example I'm bringing here from the BMW. Okay, BMW, which you know that they are a manufacturer of a car, an automobile, and many other businesses, right? So they have brought in this contactless experience, especially in this particular era of or a time of COVID. They have experienced that there is a time where you can buy a car without any contact with any kind of a representative, but you can do that even when you are sending your car for servicing. You can monitor your car full time, all the time, and you can see continuously your car, how it is being taken care, who is washing it, who is doing what. Everything is being captured, and when it comes back it gives you an entire cleaning. Sanitization is done, and they remove the covers and give it to you by saying that it is a totally untouched or contactless experience. So getting the car delivered to your doorstep is a contactless experience where you can see the car with different environments with 360-degree. You can see the interior, you can see exterior, you can have those, and to feel that they will bring the car to you and you can experience that. But it is taken care where everything is untouched. They remove, they sanitize. All these experiences came out just to maintain the sales sales record there, just to maintain their service records there, and just to run the business at this particular point of a time. This kind of activity is done under the using the design thinking. Now imagine XP, which we are associated where has a 6D process. And this particular 6D process is something which you see everywhere, or generally there are four step process, six step, five step process, different type of a processes are there, but ultimately they are pointing the same thing. They might call the different names, they might look little different, they might look at different colors. Here in IBM it looks like this because they feel like there are five steps which is most important, like empathize, define, ideate, prototype, test. And you see this is the infinity. The design you see here is the infinite, where it is going in a loop, infinite process. It is not a one-time process. It is an infinite process where you are continuously doing empathize, ideate, prototype, test, again, empathize. Okay, so you understand why it is in such a way that infinite loop, because this process are not stopping. Once you have given, see, design is something which is never so freezed. It is continuously iterating. Have you seen the first model of IBM laptop? It was so huge. Have you seen the first server of 5 MB, which was huge like a 6 by 6 feet cube? The 5 MB server or the hard disk was like that size. And from there to the micro chipset of 200 GBs into the small flash card is the innovation, is the design iterations, right? If you have seen the IRCTC website earlier and now it is changed. If you have seen the Tej application, if you remember the name of Tej, Google Tej, evolved, iterated, called it as a, today it is called as a Google Pay, right? It has been continuously, means design is something which is continuously iterating. Today you have designed, tomorrow you have to redesign for the betterment of it, for the better usage pattern, for the better experience of that particular product or the service. You're continuously iterating continuously, and that is why it is in the loop. Another example of design thinking process is here, which is brought up from the standard Stanford design schools. And Stanford is very well known in the world for their studies. And they also believe that these 5 areas where empathize, define, ideate, prototype, and test are very much important. Okay, very much important, and many activities we are going to learn in this. Another way, some other companies, like if you talk to me in my organization, we have our own design thinking. The name could be different. Where it is called empathize, we can say discover. In define, we say define only. Ideate, where we say dream also. In imagine XP, some places it is ideate. But the activities that you are doing at that particular stage is still same, whatever you are doing. And I'll take you to that and I'll explain you what is happening out there. Giving you an example of this particular diagram, here we talk about the 6 different steps. Okay, these steps is nothing but a different activity within that particular area. So there are actually 3 areas in general. If you see, the first area is a design strategy space. Okay, in this design strategy space, you generally make some strategy, you make some decisions that this is how we have to conduct this. But in the next stage, you prepare some solution, you iterate, you design, you create, you bring some designs in place to see how the solutions look like. And at the next stage, when you have to deliver, you see that how the delivery will happen, how the user will interact, how a user will absorb this thing. So these are the 3 areas. But if you see the discover, discover is the place where you do the empathy, where you do research with your users. You go and discover that how do you use this particular application, how do you use your television, how do you use your phone, how do you use your mixer grinder, right? So everywhere they are, wherever there is a demand, there is a product, there is a service, they are going and conducting this particular exercises, and they are discovering that what kind of usage patterns are there. They figured out that this is our scope, that we are finding how to improvise the buttons in the remote control of the television. Now they are reducing the number of buttons. From where it is coming? Once they heard that it is not useful, all these buttons, they start listening to the users. They discover that, they find out, they put a scope that we should only have 8 button in our remote control, so that the user can use them. It will be more valuable to having a 5 button instead of having a 15 buttons, right? So you are doing, and then you are going to do a user stakeholder interviews, user interviews. Then you are doing a research. Research means you are talking to the people. There are ways where we do the research, like even there is a 2 different way. Broadly it is called as a moderated and unmoderated. Okay, qualitative or quantitative. So in qualitative, where it is a moderated one-on-one interview, like say if I'm talking to one of your user, and that person is telling me this is my way of usage pattern, this is my pain points, this is how I use, this is the whole day that how many times I use this particular phone. If you are talking about a particular topic, if you are talking about a particular application or a particular product or a particular service, your user will tell you hundreds of things about that. And from there, you are building your database that these are the feedbacks, these are the demands, these are the needs from my user. You will come back and you will discover, you will research, you will discover, okay, I'm good. Now I can say this is my persona for whom I need to design. Okay, so and then you will say on different scenarios, like if you are designing an application for a blind person, the persona is the person who is totally blind, right? So you are defining the solution for this particular persona. Now this persona is very different to the person who is using the same kind of a application, who can read, who can listen, right? The persona differs. So you have a multiple personas when you are getting into the kind of a designs or for a product, for a digital tool, or for any kind of a physical tools, right? So you have a different type of a persona. Those persona have some kind of a demographic, their physical abilities, their knowledge, their experience, their environment, right? Their background, their studies, the knowledge of technology. All these things matters a lot when you are defining the persona. And then you certainly define that what are the different scenario. Let's say if you are using a mobile phone while you are using your motorbike, you are driving by one hand and you are using your phone. Some of the phones are not very useful, but some of the phones, because of some of the very usable buttons they have given upfront, it was very convenient earlier when there was a keypad there and you can just scan and you can touch those buttons and you can take the call or cut the phone. It was quite easy, which was very difficult now when we have a touch screen while riding the things. We cannot do the multitasking, right? So the voice over commands actually evolved, and you can give the voice over command without disturbing your primary job if when you are riding, right? So that is why the evolutions are happening, why the innovations are happening. Now once you understand your persona, your scenario, you go to into the information architect. Information architect is something which you see on your page, some of the text, some of the navigation, some of the images, some of your videos which are falling onto your page is nothing but a information architect. Let me give you some example here. Can you see my screen when I'm opening this particular page here, YouTube?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Great.
Yes, sir.
What is happening out here? This is a video. Okay, there is a description, there is a button to subscribe, there is another videos related to this topic, but there is a navigation, there is a buckets, there is a search. All these are nothing but a information architect, where information architect tells this is your prime focus, but you also need these kind of a things. But if you want to continuously see this, you have to subscribe. But if you wanted to see the related stuff, you can have this. If you wanted to maintain a kind of a list in your things, you can go. But if you need more description, right, if you need more, you will go into the view more and you will see some feedbacks, all those things. What it is, page consists of a different kind of a information content which are placed by the information architect. Let me play one video and let's see if you can hear out the audio also, and the video also is visible to you all.
Oh, look at the water.
Hey, can you see and hear?
Yes, yes. Yes, we
Great.
can see and hear.
Because they've been exposed to design thinking at such an early age, that creativity has just blossomed. They can really think outside the box, and they really feel that there is not a problem out there that they cannot devise a solution for.
Do you want to drink that? No. See what you can do to redesign it.
At Design 39 campus, we want our students to be working on real world work in real world ways. Design thinking is an innovative approach to problem solving, and it's a step-by-step process designing for a specific purpose. About a girl that had to walk 4 miles to get water and 4 miles to get back. And her back was aching because of that heavy bucket of water on her head. We just have to get a glass of water from the fridge. After we showed him the video, we just shared some facts with him. Worldwide, here's how many people don't have access to clean water. In the video, what did you notice around her? Some of the natural resources around her. A bunch of sticks and plants. So could she use these items? Yes. So for the research part, we needed the kids to experience these natural resources. What happens when you pour water through sand? What happens when you pour water through cloth? So you didn't get all of the dirt? After research, we'll define the problem. A lot of times they need to come up with the definition. What is the problem that we're trying to solve? With this one, we had a problem already defined. So our problem is people who do not have access to clean water need a way to filter water so they don't get sick from it. What's next? Brainstorm different ideas. When students are ideating, we talk about rapid ideating. We don't want them to waste too much time kind of working through one idea or adding a lot of details. It's just, what if I made it this way? And what if I changed it that way? Oh, so you're saying to like layer some of those materials? Then they go ahead and prototype. This is not your final building. It's like your model. So when it comes to your real one, you know what you're going to build. Walking around to the tables, you hear students starting to combine different ideas. Drawing it first shows how you're going to build it. Now we will connect the pipe right here. And then it has to turn and go upside. So now they have their paper model. It's labeled so they can go and get the supplies needed and start building it. We need a clock. The prototyping when they're building it can be sometimes the quickest part. They have it all planned out. They know what they're building. After students prototype, they're excited to jump in and see, how did my prototype work? What number would you say this is for turbidity? We brought out a turbidity scale, which they would be looking for the clarity of the water, and then a ppm device, which would measure the purity of it. So even though water might be clear, it still might not be safe to drink. What do you see, Brandon? What number? 985. If it fails, you have to see the problems and make it again. The final stage in the design process is we'll have them upload into their digital portfolio. Sometimes it's about publishing results. Project. How did the group work together? And you guys took both ideas and made it into one. And how did that make you feel, Emma? Happy? Starting design thinking at a really early age, they'll take more risks. They start learning goal setting, problem solving, perseverance. First attempts don't always work out. It's okay to fail and try again, because then you actually are learning something like, oh, this doesn't work. Let's try this. 7:35. I think it's good because I think that's very important.
So you see that it is been inculcated within the kids, and it is a fact that this has been taught to the many of the schools nowadays. And one of my friend 3 years back was talking to one of the board of schools, where they were thinking about how to implement the design thinking in schools, in colleges, and into different ways, so that it will be a mandatory study for all of them, like we do for any kind of a studies, so that your basic understanding is, before going and doing any kind of a assumption, you will be empathizing, you will be validating, you will be testing it out, you will be doing some kind of a activity to make sure the problem is correct and you are getting the right kind of a solution. So this is one of the example which has been taught in the school, like if you have seen the problem, how you can make the solutions, how you can use the natural resources, and how you can learn. So this is how the design thinking is helping. And if you have seen that there are different sections: discover, define, ideate, design, and then developing, right? Developing those kind tools and testing. So these all happening into a different ways. But here, when you define or define your problem, when you get some ideas, you do paper mock-ups, right? You design something on a paper and then you ask your user, does this make sense to you? Can you read this? What it is looks like? Then the person reads aloud and says, I can read this, and it tells me that from here you will get this, from here you will get that, and so on, right? So that is how this particular exercise is working. Paper prototyping is cost nothing. It doesn't cost you much of time. It doesn't. You can just make as many examples, as many ideas with on your paper, and then you can use it or you can just scrap it, right? Once you made the final designs, you generally validate with your users, and then where you once you validate it, you move on to create some wireframes. So wireframe is nothing but a small low fidelity or some boxes with some kind of a names and some kind of a connectivity between the one to another, so that you can understand that how the information architect look like, or how my content on the page will look like, how the flow will go on. Okay, that's all that you can learn, and you get here in the wireframe. And then the finally the colors, the theme is given, which we called as a visual design, okay, or the user interface. So that you define at certain stage, you develop the mockups, you implement, and then you deploy in the server, so that your users can use them, they can see. But it is again iterative process. When user give feedback, you again come back, you do some kind of a ideation, define it, validate it, put it in the development, and again the users will see, okay, this has improvised, my feedback has been answered. So this is a iterative process, which you see it's working over a period of a time. So it is like a continuously going process where you are doing activities again and again. Many of the folks generally ask me, how many times do we need to use the design thinking in any of the project? There is no specified number. And when do we need to do it? Okay, there are certain time when you have to do it. Let's say you are designing a new website for your college. Okay, at this point you don't know what all courses we are running in our organization or in our college, so that we can address those things in our website. What kind of a users will interact with this kind of a website, where all these people will be coming? Are they coming from some region where they do not understand English? Are they coming from such a background where they are very good in their local languages but not in English? So you have to make sure that you are understanding the problem very very correctly. That is the very first stage where you meet with the design thinking, where you are discovering what kind of a audiences you will have, what kind of a challenges you are going to face. Before you developing, before you putting your effort in creating, before you putting your money into that, you are making sure that you have iterated, you have discussed, you have validated that these kind of a solution will help when I make my website there, right? So once you start your project, before that you did a design thinking. Once you come out with the first cut of your design for the website of your college, you have faced certain challenges, and for that challenges, you can't just assume that this is happening because of this. You again go into a design thinking process, and there you see that you are discussing with the key stakeholders or the key project members who have worked on this, and asking them what kind of feedbacks do we receive, why do we receive these kind of a feedback. Our contact form is not working? Is that video which we posted is not working on the phone? Is that content we uploaded there is not readable? What kind of a feedback it is? Now they going to the different devices reading, oh yes, it is not readable. Oh yes, let's figure out. They again doing a design thinking, how to make the things better. They reiterate, they launched it. Some of the problem, let's say 20% of the problem got solved, but the responsiveness is not working. social media is not getting interacted. People are now attracted by social media, which was completely lost. Why the usage pattern of my website is so low? Why can't it be so high, since we all are pushing everywhere? But it is not in the social media. You are not using the problem. So again, getting into the design thinking sessions, iterate, understand how, where, what we need to think. You have to think to the problem, where we can go, where the audiences or the users are coming from, where they are getting inspiration. Is it the Facebook? Is it the Twitter? Is it the Instagram? Where is the point? That is why you see continuously ads coming in between the feeds of your Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and many other social networks. That is the reason that companies are spending money to get those ads at the right place, because your audiences are sitting most of the time over there, right? So that is how you are thinking. That is the another way of thinking, where to punch the users, where to hook the users. So these are the places where you are getting hooked. When you are browsing some of the site, you have seen that ads are coming in between, and those ads are something which you have recently research or search on some of the key websites. And why it is being tracked down? Because there are some studies happened, and there are some cookies which is being captured by the browsers, and those browsers are capturing and sending it to the certain websites, which reads your cookies and gives the indication that this person has looked this particular item on the Amazon, Flipkart, Mintra, or anywhere, and he is interested for this. So we can show this kind of a ad. So all these algorithms, all these strategies happening in some design thinking sessions, how to hook our users, how to hook our customers, how to hook our readers. If you are reading books, online books, many of the folks now started reading instead of reading, listening books, right? There are many other sites which are uh, making you read while you are doing other activities. Maybe you are cycling, maybe you are driving, maybe you are traveling, and you don't feel like the light is not good, I'll listen this book, right? There are many ways of now doing that. How you are hooked to that? Because the feature is coming, like if you don't want to read, you can listen it. That feature is also there, right? So it is, in a way, it is an innovation. It is a way of thinking different. How it is happening? Why they are not doing the same thing again and again? Why they are not reading the books only? Even the ebooks, they can only read at that particular certain time, but now they can listen also, right? So let's understand how all this happens, because there are certain iterations happening again and again. And where it is happening? In the design thinking. It is a tool which helps you to do the iteration and improvise your product, improvise your services, improvise your way of selling the things. Now, here's some of the case study that I would like to talk about. And after that, we'll have some question answer session. So you can definitely ask your questions, and I'll definitely love to answer those. But here are the key, some very impactful case studies that I would like to bring in front of you. And many of you can make out what machine it is. Some of you might have not seen, but this looks little scary to the people who are sick, and to the people who have not seen this before. It looks little scary, it sounds little scary, and some of the folks don't want to go within it. Okay, this is a CT scan machine which looks very ugly to the kids. Now, if you read out this particular text, here he built a wall with a hole. Okay, so actually, what happens? The dog date is an industrial designer. Okay, working for GE Healthcare, he recommended the first time when he saw a little girl who was crying on her way to scanner that was designed by him. Right, the dog date was the designer who designed this particular machine, and he was really not happy to see a girl crying when she was taken into this particular machine. He saw his design through the little girl's lens and realized that he built a wall with a hole. Now, this is what he feel like. He just made a wall with a hole. And how might we create a children's experience that the CT scans, X-ray, and the MRI scanning procedures that does not seem scary? So he thought about that. This was the problem. And you see the expression on the kids, the way they see this particular machine, they are really, really very scary situations. They focused on the experience, how the children perceives and interact with the products. So there was an exercise happened with a hospital where this machine was installed, and some of the kids were taken into that particular room and were just observing that how they are reacting to that particular machine. What are children experience when they had to go through the scanner? How do they feel? What make their checkups less overwhelming? Can they give the customers they got from the competitors, right? How can GE Healthcare stand out amongst the other names? Means the customer needs at a granular level, because GE is known for their customer satisfaction, and that is what is been actually explored here. These set of kids were taken into a room where this machine, and they have asked, would you like to go? They were crying, they were so amazed, they were just refusing, no, I don't want to. This all brings into the notice that kids doesn't like this machine. So they work around on their machines, and they made that machine look like that is a amusement park or a kind of a very healthy environment. Instead of just looking at dumb machine or a huge machine, they give a feel of a, a kind of an environment where the kids like to go through, where the kids don't hesitate to go. So they have done a various kind of a exploration before they made this kind of a design, and they figured out, and again they called the kids into the room and asked, what do you feel like? Everybody was jumping over the machine, and they said, "Ki, we are really liking to be in here." They didn't find that this is a machine, and this is going to be they are not hindered. They were so happy, though this particular machine is same, only the graphics, only the environment is changed, and being into such a situation that kids also like to be they are not very uncomfortable when they are called into this particular room. Even some of the other rooms also look like that. Yeah, they are into such a room where they can see the related stuff which they are looking from the childhood, right? This machine is not they are seeing from the childhood, but the stars, the moons, the many of the colors they are looking from their childhood, they are very well aware about those things, because in their books, because in their childhood, in their rooms their decorations were so nice, or in their books they are studying all these things, so they are familiar about these things. So they don't find that this machine is something very new. Though they didn't realize that it is a machine, they find that this is a kind of a environment that they have seen in the books, and that we are going to enjoy this, right? So this whole environment is changed the feel that childrens were having. They were so scary, and they don't want to go into this machine because just because of looking at the machine. But after the changing the exterior experience, not changing anything in the machine, just overall experience is being changed, and the entire perception of getting into the machine has been changed. And this is some of the numbers that we have pulled out. Like there are 70% of a respondent that say design thinking improved their working culture. Okay. And there are 69% of the responded design thinking makes their innovation process more efficient, right? 29% of the population says that the design thinking helps increasing their sales, very very clearly, right? And this is actually captured by uh, Hasso-Plattner Institute, right? And they are doing a continuous study about this. So this figure, which tells you 70% is not a joke. It's a huge, huge, huge number. it's a huge number to say that the design thinking is improving your culture, your innovation, your sales. At 29% of a sales is like damn good, damn good. People are hungry for 1% and 2% increase in their sales, and it is 29% after the design thinking. So this is something that I wanted to bring to you. But there is a mindset when you are doing a design thinking. Some of the things that you have to keep in mind, it is a complete mindset that is going to be happen. It is not only a process, but it is a mindset that you have to do, right? Unless until you do not, means just imagine if that person has not done that particular exercise with the kids, that particular experience would have remained same, and people or the kids were really scared to get into this particular machine. So that was actually the learning that they have come from the by doing this exercise. So what are the pillars here is iteration, empathy, collaboration, divergent and convergent thinking. That is what you generally can see in a design thinking process. Again, this is a different level, but what I'll do, I'll take some questions here, and I'll try to give some examples, try to give some good perspective, so that uh, you all can take a benefit of this particular time.
Hello. Bhavna, are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, sir, for your insightful session about design thinking and the UX design, the 6D process, which you told to students. So it was really nice to have you on board, and you shared a lot of insightful experiences from your design journey and from your experience from IBM and L&T. So thank you so much for that. For let's take question answer round after
Yeah.
that. Okay. So
Yes.
dear students, can we have your camera on, please? And whoever want to ask the question, kindly write into the chat box or raise hand. So we will take questions one by one. So sir, there are few questions already lying in the chat box. Like one
Yeah.
of the students who is Ravi. Ravi, are you there? From animation and film course.
I'll answer this question here.
Yes,
Sir,
yes.
I'm a filmmaker and I want to apply design thinking to my documentaries. How do I do that? Great question. So generally, filmmakers have also need to understand how and what their audiences are looking to. So first or foremost thing that you have to understand is who are your key users, right? If you have your users in front of you, or you know some of them, or if you go and do certain kind of a activity, like we said, empathy. So there are certain ways of doing the discovery research. If you don't know better ways, you can do some kind of a survey, okay, within your circumstance, within your network, within your any kind of a network of your school, college, or organization, or your film industry, right? You can run a survey and you will find certain students or certain people who are quite interested in giving you a feedback. So what you have to do, certainly you have to collect those people, talk to them one on one, like ask them what kind of a topics you generally wanted to see, what kind of a experiences generally you feel like you should have on the films, or on the certain area. So in design thinking, you can still have a kind of a environment or kind of a team where you can discuss these things, right? You can grab the feedback from the survey, from the questionnaire, or you can run a quick survey out of there are certain websites like Qualtrics, which helps you to run the survey. There are many tools like called Survey Monkey, where you can run your surveys and you can grab some kind of a feedback and what people are looking to, what kind of a content they are hunger of, right? So you can actually understand that thing, and design thinking is working in that place also. I have seen the people I worked with, Warner's Brothers, when I was working in L&T Infotech, and at that particular time, like their Paramount studio, where they used to have all the celebrities coming in, right? So they have shared, when they were talking, they have shared couple of videos with us, and Tom Cruise was one of the celebrity who was called at that particular time, and they were asking us, so you have to create one page or one website in which where we are celebrating our 100 years. Okay, and you have to create some environment that the celebrity will feel so good and they will interact with each other, they can do certain things, since it is a offline online platform, so they can do certain activities on that, and they can do a lot of things. So that particular time, we have done this particular exercise, and we have thought like what kind of an environment generally celebrities like, or they feel like. So we go and understand from the net what kind of a atmosphere there is, what kind of a music generally they play, what kind of a things they like. They like trivia, they like puzzling, they like to see other faces, funny faces. They really laugh at the funny moments, right? Some of the moments were so memorizing, so they wanted to see those. Some of the movies were so hit that they wanted to see some of the scene from that movie. So we actually thought into this particular exercise of design thinking and came up with some of the good examples that this could be, and it was very well liked. In fact, the room that we made was completely a set of a movie, and you are moving from a one to another kind of a environment. It is like you are changing a scene. So that way we have made the thing. So design thinking for filmmaker is working. It works for everyone, also for the filmmakers. You can do a lot of study, you can do, there are a lot of studies there in the internet also, or if you are joining Imagine XP, you will learn those how to use this. And these tools work everywhere, even in the healthcare, in filmmaking, in politics, in your municipal corporation, in your educations, in your institutions, schools, colleges. Even today, if you see, MBA colleges are doing these courses. Schools are running these courses within the curriculum, not outside the curriculum. Even the top institution in India, IDC, is running a course for design thinking, because they see the potential is there, right? So that is why I'm saying it is not only one or two segment or an industry, it is everywhere. Next question is, sir, I can take
Shashank. Yes. So, Shashank, you can go ahead with your question first.
Yeah.
Hello, sir. Shashank here.
Yep, go
Sir,
ahead.
is my voice audible?
Absolutely.
So, sir, I have three issues. So, first is like you talked about those machines which were made interactive for the kids. And don't you think those machines are more interactional and less psychographic? Because, you know, kids are always restless and motion friendly kind of humans, and they just always want to be always want to be in just Zivi. So when that machine is interacting with I think what you showed was an MRI machine. So
Actually, it is not interacting. It was about the experience of the room. That time means, if you have seen the first image where there was nothing on the walls, only the object was the machine. I'm not going into the solutioning part or into the why it worked and not, but because the everything means, see, if you understand, Shashank, whatever you do, whatever the solution, it is only touching the experience part. Okay, suppose if you are using a phone which has a very good features, It is not giving you anything, right? It is not giving you any outcome. It is just giving you experience, right? If you have a bite of a pizza, which is so mouth watering, what it is giving you? Experience. So everything is related to experience, user experience. So when we say interactions, interactions are just a simple task which we are doing, but ultimately we are getting experience. Like the solution was there was to change the experience of a kid. Like kids generally hate hospitals because they see machines, big machines. Those are making noise and those are not user friendly, and they have not visited those or not seen those in earlier or in their previous sessions. So they are scared of those things. But if the experience tell you that this particular thing is very much comfortable, cozy, and you will like, this is like your play area or your adventure park or your bedroom, it looks like that, you will become much comfortable. That's all that wanted to say there.
Sir, I just have one add-on.
Yep.
When I was diagnosed with one of the MRIs scans, so they asked me to just be don't do any kind of motion, not even a finger click.
Right.
So if that machine is interacting and just making the kids excite, and they are just like what you said, they're entering a new world or they're entering into a new horizon. So won't that make those kids more hectic and more just to interact more and more with the machine, and that would be creating a problem
No,
for the scan?
actually, the point that you have raised is very valid. It is true, because what is happening technically, the machine is taking a 360-degree of X-ray of your body. So if you the movement is happening, it will become blur and the crispness of that particular imaging will not happen. So that is why we asked so at that particular time, the instruction is also given. See, you are going into a space, you should not move, otherwise the space will fall. Okay, so some instructions were given to the kids. You need not have to move. There will be some sound just to make you happy, but you need not have to touch your anything. You need not have to move your head, not even your finger. You have to stay calm. You have to be in a statue position. So instructions. So like kids are very obedient. We are not. Kids are very obedient. you know, so those instructions help them that if you make a noise, if you make your finger move, this will fall on you. So don't move. So experience is the thing, but instructions are also there to make them conscious that this will help you, not being disturbing you.
Absolutely, sir.
Very
Thank you,
good
sir. I
observation.
got my and sir, I have another question. IBM Watson is said to be more analytical, and it will be just deleting so many jobs which are more of analysis and processing the information. So, what do you think it will affect design thinking and design research process in what way?
Very good point, and I really proud of you. Like you called IBM Watson. Watson is the one of the best server in them in IBM, which is helping the world today. And IBM Watson is made of data. Okay, it is not a future imaginations. It is based on the data. Based on data, it is telling you that this will happen. Similarly, if you think about the design thinking using the Watson, it will help you reading some of the data. It will recommend you use this because 90% of your users are using this and they like this color and they like this particular shape and like this particular size. But it will not tell you this particular persona will like or not. It cannot tell you. It cannot predict. It can tell you based on the data that it has, because it is continuously absorbing, and it is helping in the cancer, and it was very successful because it has lot of data from different geographies, different types of patients, different types of cancer cells, and it has a very huge number of a data that which kind of a medicine working on which kind. So it has nothing but a data, right? Data can tell you what you can make out of it, but you cannot predict that because of using this your sales will go 200%, or you cannot predict that cyclone is coming after 3 years, right? You can see the atmosphere, and then only you can figure out. But looking at the data, you cannot predict that something will happen that you can predict that tomorrow sun will rise at this particular time, because there is an algorithm, there is a previous data, there is a years of year data, and based on that you can predict tomorrow sun will rise at this particular time. With a milliseconds of fraction you can also track them, but can't tell that because this particular problem which we are solving in design thinking is very very different. Maybe you never know what kind of a content you wanted to see tomorrow on YouTube or on Zoom or on any other places. You don't know, and Watson can't tell you that what kind of a content you would like to see tomorrow on Netflix. So the data tells you what kind of a usage pattern people has, what kind of a trend is going on, but what they wanted to see tomorrow you can't predict that.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Thank you, sir. Sir, I
Okay.
have the third question. How
Yep.
do you differentiate? What is your definition between the difference between empathy and sympathy?
Very good question. So sympathy is something that you generally give. Okay. Sympathy is generally, suppose you are the person, okay, and there is another person who is a user. You are consider you yourself as a UX designer, and another person is a user. Suppose if something happened wrong with a user, you generally give sympathy. You don't take sympathy, you give sympathy. But what you are taking is empathy.
Empathy.
So there is a difference in giving and taking. So sympathy is given, empathy is taken.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Very precise, sir. Sir,
Thank you.
one last question.
Yep.
Like when we start initiating the design process, we are asked to just jot down the problems and
Yep.
brainstorm all kind of problems you can find out. But
Mhm.
how to categorize all the problems, and we can say that this is the Eureka problem, which is the root cause of all other problems.
Very good question. Actually, I was about to talk about this, but I thought I'll answer at the question answer session. Generally, generally, most of the time, we only sees the symptoms and we try to fix the symptoms, not the root cause. In many of the case, doctors, major doctors who are doing the neurologies and other critical jobs, they wanted to understand the core problem, and to understand the core problem they ask you certain reports. What kind of a reports? MRI reports, X-ray reports, blood test, body test, blah 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 blah. Got it? They wanted to understand all these reports and then they will suggest you something. They are trying to absorb the information first and then they will bring up those things, right? So when you're jotting down the problem, those may be symptoms. What is the root cause? You have to find out the root cause. And until unless you do not break down your problem into chunks, where we say it is going, where we are going and digging into the problem, why this problem is happening, from where is this coming, we go to the another previous stage, the core stage, where we find, okay, the problem is coming from the core stage and it is happening at a different levels, and it is just showing a symptoms. If we can fix the core problem, the symptoms will not come. Your headache is a symptom, but your main cause could be any major disease or a tumor. So the neurologist wanted to understand the core problem, not the symptoms. That's why he is asking to get you the done the all the tests, so he can understand. The same way, when you are going for a design thinking, you are also a surgeon. You are also need some kind of a feedback, the live data, how the usage is coming, from where the people are leaving the site, from where, why people are not buying this product, what is the reason, is it the ergonomics of the thing that is making people unhappy, is it the feel or the touch or the size of the product that is not making my product usable. All those things you are going to read. And if you see the my first video IDEO का जो कार्ट वाला वीडियो है, उसमें भी उन्होंने क्या किया है, they asked all the people who are working, go to the mall and observe the user how they are using the shopping cart, so that you can understand better what is the problem faced by the different type of a user. And users have a different problems, different type of usage pattern. So you have to understand, keep looking on to that, and you will see that, okay, now I'm coming to the point, okay, this is the original core problem, or this could be the, but we have to validate. We will again go to the user and will ask, is this the problem, or is there another thing that you see as a problem? So what you have to do is you have to understand the problem into deep, break down the problem, and then you go to the ideation phase where you can do the solutioning.
So, sir, like if we found out that the root cause of a problem is lifestyle issue, or when we define that this is the issue and this is a lifestyle issue, so how could we convert that lifestyle problem into a solution?
So if you are targeting or looking any kind of a product or service, right? It is not related to your lifestyle. Let's say, uh, if you wanted to be fit, but you don't want to go out of your house, maybe you can have some equipments within your home, right? And you can do exercises. You are changing your lifestyle based on the certain products which are available, or services or consultations which is helping within your parameters. Because your question is, if you don't want to go beyond your parameters, and within that you wanted to curate the things, so definitely it can be happen based on certain products that is being developed, taking the consideration of these kinds of a feedback, where somebody don't want to go onto the roads. They are scared, or they feel that it is a risk to ride a cycle or to run on the, because it might hurt my knees, it might hurt me by having some kind of accident. So they feel that they can run on at their home or their gym, or they're at nearby premises. So they are figuring out the tools, the services, the consulting, the many things are there which are around you, and that are continuously evolving, like how the users are thinking, how users are. But only the thing is, if you are aware about those things, you will come to know, or if you start searching about those things, you will come to know.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a
Thank you
lot.
so much, sir. Thank you, Shashank. We have other students also. Fatima, do you want to ask your question? And then Bhavya, be ready. Bhavya and Savi, please be ready.
Fatima has asked here, like, sir, where do we apply 4D, 5D, 6D? Can you give some examples? Fatima, if I just give you in short, 4D, 5D, 6D, 7D are just the names given by different organization and institutions. It is nothing to do with Ds or anything, right? It is nothing like a 3D or 4D, right? It is a small D is for like discovery, define, definition, dream, development, delivery, all those things. Okay, these are the Ds that is been called here, but it is not the dimensions, not dimension D. So
Thank you, sir.
okay, this 4D, 5D, 6D is like, there are certain blocks which we have seen, that discovery, dream, define, where you have certain exercises to be done. And these numbers will vary. Like we have seen the 6D, which is nothing but a 6 different section of the process, which is telling you that these are the 6 different phases where you have to do certain exercises within the design thinking. But in IBM, you have seen only 5 exercises, right? Empathize, ideate, prototype, test, and those things. So those are the things that you are doing within that particular thing. So it has nothing to, all are same. If you look upon the imagine 6D और IBM का 5 वो जो sections बताया उसने और infinite loop बताया, there are only 5 things, but those are constantly there. The empathize, discovery, discover, are all same. Okay, are all same. The first phase is discovery only. The for IBM, for any kind of a company, for IDOs, it is all same. So nothing is changing. The only terminology calling it or say promoting it, or calling making it a personalized within the organization, they are changing the name, they are changing the icon, they are changing the wording of it, but the processes are remain same. You are doing research is everywhere same. You are defining the persona is everywhere. You are doing the wireframing is there in the define in the dreaming phase where you are ideating, it is same. Prototype, which is called as a many other ways, right? Mock-ups or other things. It is same for all the different type of Ds.
Thank you, sir. So next question we will take from Bhavya.
Hey, Bhavya.
Good evening, sir. Bhavya this side.
Great.
Sir, my question is, as you have told, ki design thinking is working on almost all the fields, all the multinational corporates and everything. But
Yep.
sir, how about army? Design thinking, how can we use design thinking for the welfare of army or for the army men that are working in the borders, for BSF majorly?
Very good
Because
question.
we
And
have connections, like those who are serving in the mountains or in the glaciers, they hardly have any connections also. So how can design thinking help them?
great. So let me answer you, Bhavya. Design thinking has nothing to do with any kind of a environment or any kind of a industry or any kind of a platform. Let's say you wanted to do for the BSF, and especially the folks who are uh, staying into the icy mountains or in the glaciers, right? Or in the borders where there is no water, it is so hot, and you wanted to conduct this. So primarily, design thinking is an exercise which can be done with some of the leaders of their leaders and some of the key people who have experienced those kind of a challenges. Now, the challenges which a person facing at a Rajasthan border where the heat is like 56 degree or 52 degrees at the peak, where persons are getting burned out and they have not focus on the borders, right? They can't patrolling because of the heat, or the people who are at the glaciers where the temperature is minus 25 degree, right? We cannot survive that particular place. Design thinking will tell you how to make the life better, how to tackle the certain situation at certain degrees, what kind of a environment, what kind of a atmosphere need to be created around your peoples, around your soldiers. They might need to change their clothing. So if you see the people who work uh, in the glaciers, they are wearing a different kind of a material cloth which cannot pass the temperature in, and they feel safe, right? That is happening because of the design thinking only. That is happening because somebody has done thorough understanding. They have done some kind of a exercise within the workshops, and they have come out for this kind of a atmosphere. This will work well, right? This kind of a vehicle will work. This kind of a thermostat will work. This kind of a thermos, this kind of a mug, this kind of a glove, this kind. So now today, for every type of a industry, every type of a, everything is available. For mount engineering, there is a different clothing. For diving, scuba diving, there is a different cloth. For riding a bike, there is a different type of a gloves. For going to a gym, there is a different kind of exercise. Your gloves are different, your clothings are different. For every kind of a job, there is a different kind of a garments, different kind of equipments, different kind of accessories are available. That is all happening because of having certain kind of a exercise done within a design thinking. Maybe they are not knowing that this is a design thinking, but actually whatever they have experimentally done is a design thinking. They have think when they wanted to design, they think before that, they make some prototype, they test it, and then they given it to them. So that's what we are doing in the design thinking.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Welcome, Bhavya.
Uh, just last question, because we are on live on YouTube, so we will not be able to exceed the limit. So Mehak, can you please ask last question, and then I will proceed with the vote of thanks.
Yes, ma'am. Actually, sir, as you said that we had to do a survey, a one-on-one survey to empathize with the people. But in the current scenario, we can't go to the people or reach them. Also, if we want to have knowledge about n number of people, like if there are 1 lakh people whom I want to take a research, and my sample size would be around 100 or 200. What best way you can suggest I should choose to empathize and to get a, you can say, authentic research?
Very good question and very valid question, Mehak. Actually, this is the real scenario today. And in my organization, I have 80,000 plus clients. I'm just talking about the clients, and each of the clients have more than 5,000 employees in their organization. And you can imagine the size of that. And I cannot go to each one of them and I can talk to them. But today, in today's world, there are organizations like Qualtrics, like user zoom, like survey monkey. They have a lot of databases where you can go and you can ask that I wanted to do a certain survey, and my data or my means audience size is this much. I wanted to run this particular survey and get some data. So you can go and take those things. You have to buy certain packages to get the number of data, number of audiences that you are looking to, and then you can run that survey, and then you can figure out how many of them are responding to you. Based on that, you can figure out with whom you have to make your one-on-ones, right? So today it is not possible. In fact, most of the companies are doing online surveys. There are tools called user zoom, webex, and many other tools are there. Like even user zoom is also used for this. But user zoom is a specific tool where you can write your task and scenarios, and they will perform that. After that, there is a small questionnaire come where they will feed their inputs, and so that you can track. And the user zoom also track your face expressions, your voice. If you have asked to speak aloud, it captures that. So there are many such tools which are evolved during this particular pandemic area or before that, which is actually used where you can do a remote testing. It is not required that you have to go one on one or conduct those things. If you wish, you can definitely do in using certain tools, or you can do for the unmoderated testing, right? All those things are quite possible, and this is the most equipped technology which we are using. We don't spend, because company don't want to spend a lot of money when we are traveling to one or other places. And many of the companies has stopped, because earlier people used to travel different location in the world, and it was costing a huge amount just for the studies. Now it is just happening on the user zoom or the zoom tool or webex or many other tools or on teams. So you can do conduct very quickly, efficiently, and within a time frame that you are looking to.
Actually, thank you, sir. Baki, actually, the way you said we can use Survey Monkey, I was basically thinking that we can get the insights, but we cannot empathize the way we empathize when we interview directly.
Right.
So
So
when you said there are remote websites that can track the expressions, so that's great.
yeah, no, definitely you can do one-on-one and grab the empathize only with the selected users which you are getting from the surveys, who have actually answered you very correctly, and those are actually using your services or product or kind of a the way that you are looking, right? The parameters which are matching with most of the user, you will talk only to those. So I was touching over on that area.
Thank you,
Okay,
sir.
thank
Thank
you,
you so
sir.
much. Thank you, Mahek. Thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone, for making this event successful. Before we depart, I would like to invite head of the department, Mrs. Nupur Tiwari, ma'am. So kindly, for the vote of thanks,
Yeah.
over to you, Nupur, ma'am.
Thank you, Bhavna. Thank you, Abhishek, for this session. And this is a very close topic for us, because design thinking, when we say the design thinking, we always remember the guru of design thinking in India, Professor MP Ranjan, who basically gave the model of 5 Ds of design. And that's something that you touched upon. So thank you so much for that. And also, thank you for relating design thinking to various fields and for helping all of us students understand the concept better. So thank you, Bhavna. Thank you, Namrata. Thank you, Imagine XP, for organizing the session. Thank you so much.
Can we have a quick screenshot? Everybody, please open your cameras so that we can have a quick picture. Kashish, Shreya, Ravi. Everybody, please open your cameras.